Okay, so but this is perfect because this is like kind of teeing up the contradictory nature of like certain goals. So we kind of talked about the parent side. If we swing it to the player side now, so you're talking about when you're a kid, yeah, how like getting the jacket was so cool, getting the toque was so cool. Then you see this other team and everything's all matching and it's super cool. So now if we kind of change hats to the players, this is where we get back to that. What do the players want, right? What do players value on the team? And if you get your own dressing room, if you get your own gitch, if you get your own jackets and all this stuff, that's really cool for the players, you know? At the same time, that runs counter to the goal of the parents, which is like, I don't want to be spending money on all this extra crap if I don't have to, you know? So you can see the contradiction. So from the player side, it's like, that's one of the things that sells programs. That's one of the things that gets you recruits. That's one of the things that as you move up into higher levels, you go to North Dakota and tour that school, and it's like I would come here just because of the dressing room,
just because of the
like
whirlpool.
Look at how cool this is.
Yeah,
Look at how cool this is.
Yeah,
you know, we're gonna get all this stuff, and then you go to a lesser team and you're walking around their dressing room and you're just like, like not as good.
Yeah. So
whatever,
it's
right?
funny that you said that, because when I was coaching, and of course I've been to not every room, but every rink, and well, I've been to every rink in the OHL and so many colleges and stuff like that, been in the dressing rooms and stuff like that. And you know, the one thing that actually turned me off was too much. Yeah. So,
well, that's a stylistic thing to you too.
Yeah.
Though, right?
So for me, it's like, it's too much. Like, it's too much, man. I was looking at like some of the dressing rooms I've been in, like I was in Notre Dame. Like the room is, it's way too much. Like for me. Because I don't come from an entitled place. I come from, like, I'd rather be a team that has a nice dressing room and a nice facility that fills the stands with a good coach that comes out and competes. I'm not saying that the big fancy schools don't, or big fancy teams don't. I'm just saying I would rather come out with a little bit less than the posh stuff all the time. It's kind of like this gym, right? A lot of people that come in here and go, I like it in here. It's like, yeah, because it's old school. It's gritty. Yeah. Right? If you sit in your dressing room stall and you want to fall asleep because it's so comfortable, is that good or bad?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
that's just me, man. That's just me.
And like, because I'm same thing. Like I'm of two minds about it, because for me, I really loved that. Like because I did a bunch of visits. Like I remember I went to the first one that really blew me away was we went to Western Michigan University, and they had like an older barn that their team played in, whatever. And I remember going into the room and it literally was like a pro shop in their dressing room, where it was like aisles and they had all kinds of gear, golf shirts, shorts, whatever. Every player had 48 sticks on the wall. And I just remember going in, and it was the first time I'd seen this. I was maybe 17, and I'm looking and I'm just like, this is insane. And I remember thinking right away, like, I want to be here. Like, this is so cool. Imagine I could just come grab a shirt if I just need a shirt to wear. Went to Michigan State, and in Michigan State's room, that was like next level. Like they had this huge players lounge, and everything had like the wood finishes. It was the green and white with the wood finishes on it and stuff like that. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, this is another level up. And that was at that point I started thinking what you were thinking. I'm just like, okay, like this is a lot. Like you never have to leave here.
Well, so like at Notre Dame, we went and, so went in the dressing room and then went to the fitness area. And I said, well, what the hell you need this for?
How many platforms you need?
How many lifting platforms? How many bikes? There's 20 some guys. Let's say there's 30 guys in your whole roster. Why do you need 50 bikes, 50 this, 50 that, 50 that?
Or the video
and it just
room?
kept going on. I think it's just humongous. It's just humongous. It's like it's unnecessary. It's like, and that turned me off. Whereas I've been to like Miami of Ohio, for example, I'm talking colleges right now, and it was nice. It was, and I believe it was, we could call it posh, but it wasn't that. It was nice though, and it's like, okay, I like that better. The Michigan State, it was nice, but yeah, for me, it was nice. It was nice. I've seen some nicer and all that stuff, but anyways, it's, to me, there's a point where it's like but the thing is, you have the alumni and all that stuff that donate.
We're
it's
gonna do
like,
some of this money.
this is where it goes. But that's at that point, it's like you're not. It is what it is.
And that's fine. But my point of like saying all this is like I remember going through as a kid, and it was like, or a kid, I guess 17. I'm going through all these different schools.
You're impressionable at 17,
right?
100%.
And I'm looking, and I'm just like, this is crazy. And this is what I would like got on the phone. I'm talking to my parents after, and I'm like, "You should have seen this place. Like, this is
Yeah,
I've never seen anything like
yeah,
this."
yeah.
You know, and so those are things that from the player end, it's like this is what sells the program, and then you can see from that, like I really do think a lot of these AAA uh, teams and even academies and stuff around, like they're trying to model after college hockey. Like that is what they're doing. They're trying to get like their own team gym and their own team dressing room and all this stuff. Like even the Windsor AAA teams now at that Central Park that they play out of here. It's like this freaking crazy complex, man. They have their own gym, they have their own dressing room, they have all this stuff that I never. Man, when I was playing AAA, we would rink to rink. We didn't have a home rink. You know what I mean? It was just wherever there was ice. Like that's where our games were. You know, and so I think that trickle down is happening because this is what is making kids feel like, oh, like this is the place I want to be. And there's good and bad in that, but it's just the difference in what the value system is. So if you're somebody who's got some money, it's not bad to do that. It's not good to do that. It's just like which thing are we valuing most here? Are we valuing the player perspective? Are we valuing the parent perspective? You know, because you flip that on the organization, and that's exactly what it is. The organization's goals are recruit the kids to come here, like make people want to play here. And a lot of times, instead of investing maybe in like really good coaching or like really good hockey development, it's let's invest in the bells and whistles because that's what people think is cool or is going to give that wow factor when they show up and make them want to come here just because of how cool everything is, you know. And that was one thing that I remember playing junior, getting recruited and talking to different schools and all this. One thing that I always valued more than anything was like the person I was talking to, because you kind of got a vibe of like, are they selling me on the dressing room and the amenities, or are they selling me on the hockey, the development? Like, what is the emphasis on here, you know? And so that's kind of where the difference in value sort of comes between those three things, whether you're a parent, a player, or the organization. And it's important to think about those three things when you're, the one dealing with the money or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking though, as we're talking about this, how my perspective actually changed as we're talking through this a little bit because I come from Sudbury, Ontario. You know, it was one AAA center. Nothing was close. We had matching socks. Um, some guys had different helmets, different gloves, different. That was a long time ago. And then moved when I was done hockey and all that stuff. Moved down here to Windsor, which is similar to Sudbury. It's a hardcore town. It's not like a Toronto or a Detroit or a Chicago or Ottawa. So it's like a smaller, a little bit more, well, blue collar for sure. So I think I'm just used to that. But if we're looking at if we did live in Toronto, then as you said, the recruiting process is all that stuff probably makes a little bit more sense. So it's like I guess it's a little bit of opinion. I don't know what the word is. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. I guess it depends on your situation. I guess
Yeah.
right. But I still like old school. I love old school.
Yeah. And I think I was not as old school, but I was not like there's too much for me too. Like I
I
have a line.
I can say this. I can say this. This is my experience again. Is that I noticed that, and this is not all, but in general, when you come from teams that have been pampered, okay, that have can put together that teams that just win because they can do that, like just take whoever they want, and the more pampered they are, the um, not everyone, but you find a lot of those kids, the adversity and stuff like that when it actually really matters, it hits them, and I don't know if there's appreciative of walking into the Guelph Storm dressing room and going, "Wow, this is cool. Oh, oh, wow, look at all the stuff I got. This is amazing." They're just used to it, right? And they're used to just winning. And so it's just I think there has something to say for that. Whereas you get a kid that comes from North Bay AAA or one of these small town AAA teams like the Quinty. I'm not saying Quinty's small or not. I'm not really sure, but it's not like the big centers. But they make some good hockey players out there though. But when they go in, I feel like the old school blue collar farmer mentality where they come into something and they go, "This is awesome." I think it's maybe appreciated more, and I could be wrong.
Well, I feel like there's a general like there's an attitude thing. There's a reason that there's some like stereotypes about it. but there's a little bit of an attitude thing for sure. But obviously, there's exceptions for everything, and that's something that I've noticed too, for sure.